Hi, I'm here with Sandra Guerra at the ICGN Hakama event in Dubai. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure, and you're really kind of a well-known personality within the corporate governance arena globally, and you're also on the board of Hakama. And one of your areas of expertise is helping board members engage and communicate more effectively with their investors slash stakeholders. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you're doing in this area.
Absolutely, yes. I think when it comes to the importance or priority in regards to environment and social, in the ESG equation, it's important to have the considerations of investors from all stakeholders, but particularly the investor side perspective in regards to what would be the priorities of a certain company in regards to environment and social. It's very well known that investors' relation function will take care of it, and this is correct. This is a function that has to be managed by the management, and particularly the investors' relation function in a listed company. But today, investors would like to have a window to see and to interact with board of directors themselves. So it would be, the dialogue, a dialogue from investors with the board. And this dialogue is related to particularly environment, social, and governance. They will not be talking about the guidance or EBITDA or any other indicator of the company. When talking to board directors, investors would approach what would be the priorities in terms of environment and social. They would like to understand how the board is considering the progress of the company in regards to these elements. So it's important that board directors develop a big ear to understand the stakeholders in general and investors in particular. And for this, it's mandatory to have this constant dialogue. When I mean constant, it's in a yearly basis. Sometimes in a period of crisis, this can be twice a year, 3 times a year, because it's a special situation. But regularly, once a year would be a kind of something that a board director, selected by the board to be the one to engage with investors. Could be the chair, could be the lead independent director, or any other director receiving this delegation to speak to investors from the board as a whole.
And are you seeing this ESG agenda as really picking up steam, as you're saying, this is a kind of key element for investors to look at? And are you seeing this, from your global perspective, are you seeing this around the world happening? Or?
Absolutely. It varies according to the jurisdiction, of course. The maturity level, it's different from a place to another. But, it's really something, it's becoming mainstream. Investors are being very vocal about the need to have, key indicators in regards to ESG. To have, of course, profit is the goal, but investors would like to see companies searching for profit, but at the same time taking care of the externalities that they produce in regards to the environment, people, and so on. So they are not being only vocal, they are, acting in regards to that by voting against some board directors, the entire board, or sometimes the chair of the audit committee or the remuneration committee chair, and so on. So there's no way out and no way back. So the only way to go is to improve ESG, and board directors have to be very, very aware of that.
Some people are saying, that there's a bit of smoke and mirrors to it, that, these oil and gas companies are claiming to be big components of ESG, and they're buying a solar farm or they're buying a wind farm and making a big media splash about it. But in reality, there really is not an agenda there. Is there some hokey pokey business going on with this ESG, or do you feel that the boards are sincere about really making an environmental impact?
You have different companies, taking this more or less seriously. And I would say the ones that will persevere are the ones who are really taking care of that. Of course, you will not change the world in a second, particularly when it comes to fossil fuels. We need to face a transition phase, and this may take decades because we have to offer more sources of energy to the world, available, cheap, very easy to use all over the world. It's not from one year to another that you're going to obtain that. But the important thing is that you have a transition plan. You have companies that are maintaining the production of fossil fuels because the world still needs it, but at the same time investing in other sources of energy, for instance. And the same thing happens with mining, cement, and so many other activities that generate danger for the environment. It requires a lot of strength to pursue the transition towards a more sustainable world. And it requires that the private sector has a very important role on that. And I consider myself that the private sector has a bigger role than even government, because they have everything on their hands to change and to make the improvement. But you're going to have companies that are taking this very seriously, and companies that are trying to, fool themselves, and they will not prevail at the end.
What's your advice for board members who want to be more effective in dealing with their investors in this area?
Oh, it's very important to develop themselves. So take all the opportunities in training programs, in go to conferences, and reading books, and talking to experts, and engaging with the management of their firms. Because management, of course, because they run the day-to-day business, they are much more familiar with everything. So it's, really give time to develop skills that are important for the understanding of ESG, and also to all the innovations that are coming around. What we know today, it won't be, I may say, useful in 5 years' time. So you have to be very open-minded and take a lot of time to develop yourself as a board director these days.
So those are the insights from Mrs. Sandra Guerra on board governance. Sandra, thank you so much for coming.
It was a pleasure being with you. Thank you.